Finally, some closure for an East County family 34 years after their loved one was murdered.
There were no arrests and not even a suspect named previously in the fatal stabbing of single mom Diane Dahn inside her Santee apartment back in 1988. Detectives say forensic genetic evidence broke this case open. CBS 8's Heather Hope has the family's emotional reaction.
Yes, there is a sense of closure and relief that we're hearing from Diane Dahn's sister and her son, now that the case has been solved in their loved one after more than 3 decades.
I myself was going to go to my grave not knowing.
Finally knowing who was responsible for her 29-year-old sister Diane Dahn's murder in 1988, Victoria Dawn Minter couldn't hold back tears.
I'm so grateful to the detectives and everything that has been done.
34 years ago, San Diego County Sheriff's deputies found Diane Dahn's nude body inside a back room of her Santee apartment with visible stab wounds, but no signs of a break-in. Her 2-year-old son, Mark, was found unharmed in the apartment. Despite DNA evidence left underneath Diane's fingernails, no suspects were ever identified as a match until over 3 decades later.
There was a hair that was recovered at the time of her murder inside one of her hands. That hair was processed and a full profile was obtained.
Detectives use investigative genetic genealogy to name suspect Warren Robertson, a tow truck driver who lived in Diane's same apartment complex with his wife. Robertson had no violent criminal history, only low-level property crimes, so investigators tracked down Robertson's relatives based on their online ancestry profiles to get a DNA sample.
This assistance proved to be the break we needed.
This marks the 5th time the Sheriff's Homicide Unit has used investigative genetic genealogy to identify a cold case suspect. Detectives never learned a motive for Diane Dahn's stabbing. They say her killer, Warren Robertson, moved to Indiana right after the murder and died in a house fire in 1999.
In the end, 9 trees were constructed with almost 1,300 individuals connected to the suspect.
Diane Dahn's son, Mark Byer, was adopted by Diane's friend.
I'm in an interesting position because I was so young, I don't have many memories.
Mark says he only knows that his mother was an accomplished musician who loved to play the violin and worked as the first female radio repair technician at the San Diego Transit Corporation. He is grateful cold case detectives never gave up.
The answers that my family received, it's closure. And closure is everything, even after so much time had passed.
Heather Hope, CBS 8.
And they never gave up on the investigation.
Right, and who knew back then that this DNA evidence would be so crucial and that they'd be able to use the genealogy and family trees to find and pinpoint a suspect. And even though that suspect has now passed the closure, you could just hear in her son's voice, oh, at peace, finally.